Hello and welcome to another beautiful blue sky day in sunny Nova Scotia. You wouldn't have thought a couple of days ago we were 2 inches in snow. So today I'm starting the big project for this year, the orchard. I've got lots to do and not a lot of time to do it in. So why don't you join me for a quick walk around and we can talk about all the different aspects I'll be doing. I'll be doing different videos for the different areas. We can walk through the garden and see what it's all about.
Well, here we are. So in a moment we're going to switch over to my superbly drawn and detailed plan of the actual project itself, but I thought I'd give you a quick overview. So at the moment it's mostly rocks and 5 apple trees. Well, 4 actually, because one of them went man down on me. But I've got 2 Honeycrisp, and in the left hand corner there I have a Liberty apple, as you can see where I'm pointing, and then on this side here I have a Sweet 16. So I'm going to have a few paths, and obviously as you can see there's going to be rocks lining all of these paths. I'm not just going to have the ordinary apples. Across the back there where that hedgerow is, there's going to be espalier apples, and then along the paths I'm going to have actual step over apples, which I'm going to explain a bit more in a moment. So as we move over here, on the left hand side is going to be where the formal garden will be, and along the left hand side of this gravel row here is going to be a row of yew hedging, which should look really good in separating the 2 areas. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to get it in this year, whether Mrs. F will open her safe for me to get, because I reckon it's going to be a good $1,000. So we'll see, probably maybe in the autumn. Now if we look at the actual garden itself, you can imagine there'll be a hedgerow, and we're going to walk through a gap into the hedge. I'll move on to our plan itself. So let's imagine that we've come in from the path on the left hand side there, through that yew hedging that's going to be there someday, and as we move into the garden, immediately on our right hand side there's going to be a little opening into what I'm calling the secret garden. Now if you walk into that little garden area, and I'm just going to show you a photograph of the sort of to give you the scale of it, at the end there's going to be a little covered garden seat where you can sit in shady splendour, and well I can sit in shady splendour at the end of a hard day's work and look out onto hopefully my beautiful apple orchard. And you can see, if you're looking out now into the orchard itself, you can see the 5 main apple trees. Again, coming back to the actual secret garden itself, we've got the rocks lining, and then on either side we're going to have perennials, which are all going to be it's either going to be green or white flowers. There's not going to be any other colours in there other than white flowers. And on the left hand side of the patio, as you're looking outwards, there's going to be a trellis, and we'll have some sort of climbers growing up there, again with white flowers, maybe roses or clematis. Even on a beautiful summer's evening we could have some sort of sweet peas with their beautiful perfume as we sit down again, as I said, in shady splendour. So looking out again from that seat again out onto the orchard itself, you won't have an unencumbered view of the orchard. I want to have some long grasses at the end, as you can see on the map there, the wispy bits there. They're going to be some long grasses, excuse me, maybe a Miscanthus sinensis, the maiden grass, or a Calamagrostis acutiflora, the Carl Forster red feather grass even. And that's going to give that feeling, even on the lightest of breezes on a summer day, that feeling of movement and relaxing again as well. Nice soft sweeping to and fro, and where you can sort of gaze through the grass into the orchard, and that should look really good. Now coming out of the actual secret garden itself, we'll turn right on the drawing and then immediately left, and we'll have a long path looking out towards the road with hopefully a bench at the end.
Now, obviously there's no pathway in here at the moment. In a few weeks' time, after a bit of blood, sweat and tears, I'll have dug all that in. Either side here are the apple trees. I'm going to have step over apples all the way down here. And they'll be about that high. So those of you guys who don't know what step over apples are, they're basically just normal apples grown on a dwarf rootstock. And as you can see in the picture, you train them up along a small low fence, and you can get a really good yield, just as much, well, not exactly as much yield as a big tree, but you can get a really good yield of apples. You can see from these different photographs here that I've put up of the amount of apples you can get in a small area. When you haven't got a lot of space, if you've just got a pathway, it's perfect to grow apples along. So that's two different types of apples we're growing. Our normal tree apples, and then along this pathway we'll have low growing step over apples on a dwarf rootstock. And I might actually be looking at some sort of the more Nova Scotia heritage apples, because again, it's all very well growing our lovely Honeycrisp and Sweet 16, but we want to try and keep up the history of and the heritage of Nova Scotia, and there's some really good old apples that I'll be investigating to try and grow in that form. So let's have a look at the espalier type of apples that I'll be growing over in this side here. So all the way along this hedgerow along here, I'm going to be I'll be cutting the trees back, and I'll have some sort of posts coming up all the way along here, and I'll be growing apples in an espalier fashion. Probably get 2 or 3 maybe apples up there. And as you can see from the photograph again, you grow them up and then you're training them into nice lines, and they look good. They look good, and hopefully they'll be yielding a nice amount. They've got a nice sunny area, and it's just another way to use space in your garden. So we've got the low growing ones, we've got the normal trees, and then we've got a nice use of space in the side here to grow even more apples. I'll be brewing a nice little bit of cider, I think, with that lot. So if we walk down back towards the secret patio garden over there, along this non-existent path at the moment, on our left here, I'm going to have a small little pond there, and then behind here in a couple of years I'm going to be looking at having sort of there and there a couple of beehives, hopefully. And then as we're walking back along here, this will be some sort of wildlife garden area along here. Oh, and I forgot to mention, behind all the way along there is another hedgerow, very small at the moment, of privet, and hopefully they'll get themselves up and at them before you know it. And if we swing back along the path, back along as if we're going out, again, secret garden on the left. We'll have a trellis along here, hopefully bushing along there, and as we walk up to there where the privet, I want the privet to go over another archway and a gate, so you've got a nice entrance into the, well, what is a bit of a scruffy area at the moment, but into the back there. So that'll look really good, hopefully in a few years' time, with the privet hedge growing nicely over it like that. So there we go. Not a lot of time to do all of this really, and obviously the rest of it, is going to be grass. So I'll have to get the tiller in there, giving that a good, get even more rocks out, deep joy. So that will all be grass, some sort of shrubs going all around here. And the first job is, Sunday's job is to build that seat there, and then next job will be to finish the path along there, and then as the weather gets a nice bit better, I'm going to plant these perennials up in this little patio area there, and then slowly as we go along, then it'll be digging out the pond. I've obviously got to replace that apple tree and put all the new apple trees in as well. So plans in hand, It's a beautiful spring evening. No more excuses, the ground is soft. I think it's time to get a shovel in my hand, and as we used to say in the Navy, time to get amongst it. Hope you'll join me in my journey. It's going to be hard work, but I reckon it's going to be fun. My trusty assistant Ethan will be joining me along the way. If you've got any questions, comments, don't hesitate to put them down in the comment section, and please click subscribe if you want to keep updated with all the low down and the high down and all the happy and the unhappy events along the journey. So I'll see you then.